Hey everybody, Matt with Freestand here. We got a special guest on the show today, Cynthia Catchings. She is a psychotherapist, and she does a lot of virtual work. She works with Talkspace, which is a platform um, which connects people who are looking for therapists to therapists, and then she also has her own platform where she works with people directly. Um, so I'm excited to talk to her. Thank you for coming on. How are you?
Hi there. I'm very excited to be here, and the opportunity to share what is it that we do online is amazing. So thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you for coming. So let's just hop right into it then. How did you get started, like with therapy in the first place? Like, what was kind of your route to becoming a therapist first?
I've always liked to help people, and one of the things that I had the opportunity of doing before becoming a therapist was to be a teacher. I was teaching for 12 years from kinder all the way to high school. And then I decided to go back to school and get my master's and become a therapist. And that gave me the opportunity not only to help children, as I was doing it before, but on a more clinical level. So now I work with children. I work with adults as well. But the basic idea is to be able to help people and change communities.
That's awesome. And you said so you work with like is it mostly children and then some adults, or is it a mix? What's kind of the dynamic there?
It's a mix, but I will say that I have more adults. I do have a few children and teenagers, and I think that now that we're going through COVID and everything staying at home, I think that this has affected people differently. So I can see that it varies. Even though I have more adults, I see more children and adolescents struggling with some things, especially staying at home. So the number varies depending on the need.
Gotcha. And so you've seen like a big uptick in demand though for your services, would you say, over the last year with COVID?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, I like to share the dynamic that I saw or the experience that I had was that the 2019, the year right before, I I was seeing clients, I would say maybe for 6, 7 hours a day. And then by March 2020, I started seeing maybe 8, 10, meaning to 8, 10 hours a day. By July, August, I had a full schedule all the way until the end of December. And I was
Oh my
already
God.
seeing that 10, 12 clients a day, 45 minutes. I couldn't do the whole hour. But people were coming back and telling me, Cynthia, I really need to go back to therapy. I need to talk to you. I need help. I cannot I'm struggling with this. I cannot do it on my own.
Yeah. That's a lot of people to deal with.
That's right. That's right. One after the other. So it's this a good opportunity for me to be
Yeah,
able to
sure.
help, but it's a
But
lot.
it's a great opportunity for you, and yeah, thank you. We need more people like you. But just like recognizing the fact that 10 to 12 sessions a day has to be like very tiring, no?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. It is. It
And
is.
have you done sessions in person before, or have you always been virtual?
I have done sessions in person. That's how I started. And I was working for a nonprofit and different organizations. And then when I decided to go the private practice route, I started with the in person only. My husband actually got transferred to DC, and that invited me to start doing the online because I didn't want to leave my Texas clients just without a therapist. They wanted to continue with my services. So that's when I decided to not only find a platform, make sure that I could continue with them and do it that way.
Got it. And how long ago was that you started kind of doing the virtual piece?
The virtual was back in 2017.
2017. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Very cool. And do you find it like now are you doing like any bit of a well for I guess from like 2017 to 2020 because 2020 is different and now it's
Right.
different. But from 2017 to 2020, were you doing complete virtual or was it kind of like a hybrid model where you did some in person and some virtual?
It was hybrid, and this is going to also kind of like make you wonder a little bit about what is it that I do and why I do it. But since my husband got transferred, I the idea was not for us to move over there immediately. So I left my private practice in Texas open, and I was still seeing clients in person. When we decided to move over there and he got the permanent position, I knew that I had to do a combination of both. So back in 2018, 2019, I was coming back and forth Texas, Virginia. So I would spend 3 weeks in Virginia, 1 week in Texas, seeing my clients in person and then offering the services online as well. So it was a combination, but I have never stopped seeing them in person. I always provide that opportunity for them to have the connection. And some of them like it. Some of them are a little bit more careful now because of COVID, but for the ones that want to see me in person, I'm always available for them.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And in terms of like being able to work with different people in different states, do you need a different license for each state, right? Is that how it
Yes,
works? Okay.
that's right. You're well informed. Each one of us, if you're a licensed clinical social worker or a psychologist or an LPC, we have different rules, different boards, and we have to be very respectful of that. One of the things that I knew that I had to do immediately when I decided to work in Virginia was to initiate the paperwork and make sure that I had everything before opening the practice over there. So I'm licensed in 4 states right now, Texas, Virginia, Maryland, and Washington State.
Okay. And is there anything like when you apply to get your license in those states, is there anything different? Like, are some states more strict than others? Like, because it seems like, it should be like, I guess the same, but is it, or is it
It
different state
is
to state?
different.
Okay.
Yes, it is different, and we really wish it was the same or that we could do something a little bit easier. But I can give you an example. From Texas to Virginia, it was super quick. It was, we'll say, maybe a month and a half, and that means that I paid for the permits and I provided them with all the documentation, and then they responded and gave me my license. DC is a little bit different. They require for you to have 3 letters of recommendation on top of everything that another state might require. You also need pictures and you need to wait and go through the process. So each state is different. California is one of the states that doesn't work with reciprocity. So even if I wanted to ask for a license or get a license with them, I wouldn't be able to. I would have to go through some university courses again, maybe take the exam again instead of just transferring, and then see if I can get the license. But each state is different.
Huh, that's interesting. So California is super strict.
Yes.
Huh, that's crazy. And so most states, it's literally like you kind of just reapply, you get some letters of recommendation, and then California like actually wants you to take a new course and like
Different
retake the
things.
exam.
Hours is
Yeah.
the requirement is for you to get your license, you need to complete 3,000 hours of clinical work supervised. You need to see a
Oh wow,
supervisor
that's a
every week
lot.
for an hour,
You
meaning that you need
you said
100 hours.
you said 3,000 hours or 300?
3,000.
Oh my God, that's a lot.
Yeah, so that is kind of like your practicum is as,
Yeah.
I don't want to compare because we're obviously very different, but like when a doctor goes and does a residency and everything, we have to work at a clinical place. It can be a psychiatric hospital, it can be a clinical office or private practitioner. Once you work with those people or under those organizations, you complete the 3,000 hours. And remember, every week you have to be meeting with your clinical supervisor. You have to pay for that as well. So that is an extra expense. It's not just I got my master's and now I can become a licensed counselor or a clinical social worker. It's a process. It takes about 2-3 years depending on how fast, how quickly you complete it.
Got it. Very cool. And then in terms of the whole online piece, so you've been on Talkspace since 2017 as well?
That's right.
When you started virtual? Okay. So, and when did you, for everybody listening, Cynthia does Talkspace and also she has her own platform where she meets with clients. Did you also start that personal platform, your own platform in 2017, or is that more recent?
No, actually that started in 2017 when
Okay.
I had the opportunity to see the clients in Virginia and see the clients in Texas. I had to use something that would allow me to communicate with them. So I looked for several of them. Some of them allow you to document and do the online. Some are just specifically for the video sessions. So I was looking for different options, and then finally I decided to go with a specific one and just create exactly what I wanted.
And what did you go with? Is there like a specific company that builds like software that allows you to
Mhm.
do this?
There are several of them, but what I decided was to go with one that was already established because it was
Hmm.
a little bit faster. So I used two of them. One allows me again to document and see my clients, and that is Simple Practice. I highly recommend it because
Okay.
it works for me. And the other one is Doxy, DOXY.me. That one, it was funny because I actually had a medical appointment recently, and my doctor sent me a Doxy link, and I told him, hey, I use the same platform. So I can tell you that that works not only for the medical professionals, but also for the mental health professionals.
Got it. And you can't do it over Zoom, of course, because Zoom's not HIPAA compliant, right? That's the
That's right. And maybe some people know a little bit more about it because I've heard that they do have a way of, if you get the professional plan, or if you get like a specific plan, you're actually allowed to do it because they do
mm,
have the HIPAA compliancy, and they protect the client's information. I'm not very familiar with it, so I don't use it. Some people ask me, hey, can we just do FaceTime or WhatsApp? We cannot. However, if the client signs a consent saying, I do understand that maybe somebody can hear the conversation or somebody can find out what I'm talking about, we are allowed to use it, but as long as we have that consent in writing.
got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because like let's say somebody can't get on Zoom, they can't get to their computer or something, but they need to call you, right?
Right.
So can somebody just send you like a simple text? Is that like enough, or does it need to be something formal where they like sign off and say I'm okay using this like ahead of time?
Okay, that is a little risky because you need to go with the email or with the letter. However, let's say that the client is in distress, or the client is really struggling and they need to talk to you, and for some reason you cannot communicate with them. One thing that I do is that if I really see that my client needs me, I do allow them to send me a text. And then after that, I tell them, okay, once they feel a little bit better, can you please send me the consent signed? And the other thing as well is that I try to protect myself and my clients' confidentiality by providing those forms at the beginning. So let's say that you were my client and you want to schedule the first appointment. I will send you the forms, and you would have the option of signing for text, phone call, any type of communication. That way we have it in advance. Some people sign it, some people say, no, I'll wait. If I need it, I'll do it. But as of right now, I don't.
Okay, got it. That's a good idea. Yeah, just do that ahead of time so if
That's right.
somebody does need to contact you that way, they can.
Mhm.
Um, Very cool. And in terms of Talkspace, what's your whole kind of thought on that? Because I know it's obviously good because it drives you, new clients or new patients rather.
Mhm.
But they do take some form of a percentage, right? And they kind of control the transaction piece of it. So what are your kind of thoughts on that? Like is it something that you like? Do you prefer to use your own site? Kind of like what's your idea there?
Okay, I love Talkspace. I can tell you that the experience for me has been amazing. I cannot share a lot of information because I would need to go through the marketing team and
Yeah.
just be able to talk about them. But my personal experience has been amazing. I think that what I like the most about Talkspace is that we're like a family. We communicate with the providers, with the peer consultants, and it's just an experience that you don't get working alone. As clinicians, one of the issues that we have sometimes is that if you're in private practice, you're alone most of the time. You have your client, right? But you cannot talk about what you're doing with the client or how you feel or just how your day is going. It's just client after client, and then you close the office and you go home. Maybe you have a therapist for you, but maybe not. So having the opportunity to interact with other people, in this case with the platforms like Talkspace or any other, is really nice because you can actually communicate. You get the support. They're very supportive. So I really like to have the option of doing it alone, and then the option of doing it with a group that actually allows me to communicate a little more.
Got it. Oh, that's really interesting because I feel like most people don't think about, um, when you work independently like that, your lack of connection with other professionals,
That's right.
which is key. right?
Yes.
Um, and do you talk, like when you say you connect with them, is it mostly like internal employees at Talkspace, or is it other therapists that are on the platform? Do they have like community meetups and stuff like that? Or how does, yeah, what are
How
you
is it?
referring to?
It's
Mhm.
basically communicating with the other providers that are within the same teams. But then again, I mean, at one point, I can tell you my connections in Texas were the ones that allowed me to learn about Talkspace and how to do private practice and everything. So, for example, I have three providers that work for Talkspace as well, and they love it, and they communicate with me as friends and as colleagues that I have within the same town where I live. So it's a combination of both, but then again, it's more with the teams that I work with within the organization.
Okay,
Mhm.
so like actually internal employees there.
Right.
Yeah.
A
Okay.
lot.
Interesting. That's cool. No, that's cool because it allows you as a individual practitioner to be part of kind of like a bigger company, you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
which is important. And I think a lot of people kind of forget that when they go off on their own and do, any type of these independent jobs, or
Right.
careers rather. And
Exactly.
freestand, the name of
Right.
this, is literally about freestanding, like being unsupported by other organizations. And it's really interesting that you bring that up, because I don't even really think I've spoken about it with anybody. But yeah,
Really.
it's really important, regardless of what industry you're in, to make sure that you can find some type of support group of like-minded individuals,
Right.
that you can connect with and network with and talk to, because otherwise it
That's right.
gets really lonely.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah,
And one of the things that I use as well is our national organization, NASW, the National Organization Association of Social Workers. We do connect a lot with them. We have the opportunity to belong, right, to the chapters or just the boards, depending on how it is. We're a huge organization, and I think that to me has been so helpful. I had the opportunity to be on the board in Texas, and now I'm the president elect at the DC chapter.
that's
So
awesome.
if
Congratulations.
thank you. If I hadn't maybe been so active in Texas, just going to DC and not knowing a lot of people or anybody, it would have been so difficult. But I think that having the opportunity to say, okay, here's my organization, let me network and connect, that allowed me not only to get clients and learn about what is going on, but also have the opportunity to feel a little bit more in as a part of a team, right? As a member.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
um all right, very cool. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is, I know you love Talkspace. For anybody listening, if Talkspace is listening, Cynthia is a very big advocate. When it does come to your own website, though,
Mhm.
how do you drive not traffic, but like, how do you discover clients? Are these clients that you've just had for a long time? I know you have a large following on Instagram, and your website's linked there, I think.
Right.
Um, so is that kind of, do you find clients through Instagram, through social media, or kind of how do you approach that?
That's a very good question because I've met clinicians, providers that struggle getting the clients. They want to open the private practice and then they close because they were not able to make ends meet or get as many clients as they needed. You have to be very involved in the community, first of all, where you live, connecting, networking, so people know who you are and what you do. Second, I think that really helps to know which ones are the sites that actually provide you with the clients. What the client is looking for is information about you, what are the services that you provide, and if you're close to them, and then again, the fee, right? If you provide or offer an affordable fee. One of the pages that I use and I like a lot as well is Psychology Today, because most of the clients that I get go through Psychology Today. Another thing that really helped me was that at the beginning, I started working for an EAP. And basically, the idea is employee assistant program. They refer clients to you. So once the client starts working with you, they get 6, 8, 9 sessions, depending on the program. Typically, the client stays. Right after that, they ask you, you know what, I do have insurance. I really love the way that you work, and I like working with you. Can I just stay? And then they refer you to the family and the friends and so on and so on. It was really interesting because in Virginia, I had this concern about, I do know a lot of people in Texas and they know how I work. I know that I can get as many clients as I want, but in Virginia, nobody knows me. I started working back in 2017, January 18. I can tell you maybe I had about 20, 25 clients. So that was good, but
Yeah.
I needed more. So with that in mind, by June in same year, I already had a full schedule. So it was just connecting, right? Sharing, this is what she's doing with me. I really like the way that we work, and that helped.
Gotcha. And yeah, it's just interesting in terms of price, I guess, for your sessions. You don't have to share that, but is it more expensive for somebody to do private practice versus going through something like Talkspace?
Yes, and the main reason is because with, for example, with some companies, like for example Talkspace or anybody online, they want to make it very affordable for the client, right? They want to make sure that everybody gets services. With a private practitioner or with an organization, you can see that maybe you're going to have a nonprofit, for-profit, or the private practitioner that needs to pay the rent and all the bills. So basically, as a private practitioner, you can set your own fees, and depending on the state, you can charge different fees. I can tell you Texas and Virginia is completely different. It's a big difference. But one of the things that we can do, not only to help the clients, but also to help the community, is offer what we call a sliding scale. So basically, a person can go and say, I cannot afford the fee. I'm struggling, I'm going through something difficult, and you can provide them with different options. Either we only meet once a month and we can work in a different way, or I can give you a reduced fee, and that helps the client.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole space, I think that, well, actually, no, my first question was going to be, in terms of the people that you said tried to open up private practices but weren't successful, were those therapists that were working on platforms like Talkspace and they were getting their traffic there, and then they said, okay, I'm having a little success here, I'm going to try and do it completely on my own? Or was it people that just tried to do like private practice immediately?
I think that is more difficult for those that try to do it immediately. And many times I see people that graduate, they get their license, and the first thing that they do is, I'm going to open my private practice. I'm not discouraging anybody to do it. I mean, if you want to try it, it's great, it can work. But it's a little more difficult because you need to know exactly how the insurance companies work. And the other thing
I
is,
think we. Oh no, you're good. I'm sorry.
okay.
Your camera went out for a second, but it's fine. It's
Okay.
back.
Okay, good.
It's
So
good.
as I was telling you, everything is different. Working with insurance companies can be a little bit difficult in the sense that if you don't know how to navigate, you might not get paid for something. And then that is a loss. And you can be seeing clients, but at the end of the month, you don't get paid. So what I recommend is work for someone during your practicum, make sure that you know, and then go for the private practice.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Awesome. Cynthia, thank you so much. The last thing that I ask pretty much everybody is, if somebody who's listening and, they're thinking about becoming a therapist, do you have any advice for them? Anything you'd recommend? Any tips, tricks, anything you've learned along the way?
Of course, I think that one of the things that I want to share is never get discouraged, because even if you don't go through the private practice, there are many organizations that you can start with and become a clinician that knows other people, and then go for private practice. And second of all, connect, network as much as you can, go through the different meetings, the task forces, the organizations, because that is going to give you a lot of resources. And number three, be there for your client. I think that that's what we're here for, to help the people.
Absolutely. All right, Cynthia, thank you so much. How do people connect with you? Do you know what your Instagram handle is?
Yes, Cyn Catchings,
Okay.
CYNCATCHINGS, and
Awesome.
they can connect me through you as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure to include everything in this. All right, Cynthia. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.